All right, so Jan, you work in the president's office, and you get an opportunity to talk about the Career and Life Studies program all the time, but you don't have a lot of time. So when folks come in and don't know anything about it, what do you tell them?
I tell them that we identified a need for students with intellectual disabilities to be able to access the opportunity to come to college. And what we tried to do in figuring out a solution to that was we developed the Career and Life Studies program, because it offers students with intellectual disabilities the opportunity to come to Millersville and not only just be in classes, but to actually access everything. So they become embedded in the community as residents of the dorms, socially, educationally, run the gamut. They're a student at Millersville. So tell me how you utilize the culturally valued analog within the program.
It sort of came about naturally. When we started, there were all these questions about how people were going to do stuff, when they were going to do stuff, and so one question came up when a person on campus asked me, well, how is the student going to know their way around campus and what to do? And I just asked, well, when a freshman comes here, how do they know to get around campus? And the answer was, we do a 3-day orientation. So then we said, well, Daniel should go to the 3-day orientation. And then we set him up with the supports and so forth. And questions like that kept coming up over and over and over again about important but simple things. For example, well, is there a vocational component? Yes. Well, how are they going to learn to fill out a resume? And I said, well, how do students here, do we help students learn to fill out resumes? And the answer was, yeah, they go over to career services and they teach them. The other answer was, their friends show them how to do it. And so then we said, well, we'll use career services, or we use their friends. And
So in essence, it's how other university students do it.
yeah, we're a liberal arts education, and all these things, how to do laundry, how to fill out resumes, how to do budgeting, how to get around campus, how to choose your courses, all have an answer to how they learn it. Some are formal services, some are other students. Sometimes they just don't do it until they have to have it.
And sometimes they just learn by doing.
And sometimes they just learn by doing it. So, Jan, what do you think one of the attributes that we have in our program that involve the CBA might be?
I think it's the residential component, because I think one of the most important ways that students become embedded in our campus community is by living in our residence halls. So I think it's one of those things that applying the CBA is a good opportunity to allow students coming in to be included.
Yeah, that's a great example, especially because all the assumptions that go against the CBA popped out when we began to talk about residential. Remember, somebody said, well, you should have a behaviorist on staff. Somebody said, well, gee, don't you have to have 24-hour supervision? And somebody said, well, will people be safe? And because we learned to turn the question around, which was, well, how do we keep people safe? And they had an answer to that on how we keep people safe. Or one of the most unique answers when I was talking to the president, the provost, and the vice presidents, and the question on the table was, how do we match roommates up? And the vice president of residential affairs went on a research and looked all over the place about how do other universities, and there's only a few, match people. And the best answer they found was, we don't. We just place them. And no one's had any trouble because, well, I don't know why no one's had any trouble. It's just worked out that way. That was a look.
So tell me a little bit about how you use the CBA to develop curriculum.
There's a big problem developing curriculum because unlike most programs, we were developing a program for people with intellectual disabilities, not for folks who wanted to be engineers. So when you develop a curriculum for teachers or engineers or so forth, you know what you're doing. Fortunately, at Millersville, we have this BA in Multidisciplinary Studies, which is, if you look at the curriculum sheet for the BA in Multidisciplinary Studies, it's a blank sheet with numbers of credits required. And you fill in the courses that are relevant to the degree you want to have, like Spanish and engineering, or music and French, or what have you. And so we had just been through this huge discussion on campus with the faculty and the faculty senate about should we have a degree program that doesn't have designed courses but individualizes the study for each individual student. And that was the frame we used for career and life studies.
So, it seems like the multidisciplinary studies is the CBA you use for our program.
Absolutely. We just took the framework of empty boxes of courses and made it life and liberal arts and career and mind and body, and the student will fill it in based on what they're interested in. So Daniel is interested in being a chef and theater, and he'll have a program in hospitality management and theater. Now there were some changes that we made that I think probably we're going to end up relying back on the multidisciplinary study, because the multidisciplinary study degree is a 4-year program, and our program is a 2-year program. I think that's an early mistake. I think probably we're going to find that we should hold true to the 4-year.
And evolve into a 4-year program.
I think so, because that's what the typical student does. And so probably we should also. And also, the emerging trends in higher ed is to more and more individualize the course of study, when, how, where, and that's what we're doing with career and life studies, is individualizing.
And I think it allows students to pursue their passions and do what they want to do with their lives.